Hey,
Hi.
hello, everybody. So I want to say hello and welcome to today's local search clinic with the very, very lovely Elizabeth Linder. There she is. Hi. Before we got started, I want to remind you that this session is being recorded, so don't worry if you missed bits of it, because it's going to be live straight away on YouTube. You can find it immediately after, and we will share it on the website too. So what we've got today is a whole hour of deep diving into Elizabeth's brain. What a place to be with your questions and answers. So we've got a whole hour. Make sure you get your questions in. And then when we have finished, if you want to continue on with the jolly local search conversation, then please join the Facebook group, the Local Pack Search, for everyone that wants to ask and answer questions about local search. And Jenny is going to share a link to that in the live chat. So I want to say to our lovely guest, Elizabeth, hello.
Hi.
Hello and welcome. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. I'm Elizabeth. I also go by Liz. Both is totally fine. I hear it from both sides. I work at Kickpoint. I've been there for just over 5 years. I started focusing on anything SEO I could get my hands on, and I kind of just kept diving and diving deeper and deeper into anything SEO. And then I kind of took a more specialized look at local SEO. And I have a lot of ongoing clients that we deal with just specifically local SEO as well. So years of experience, years of looking at anything that could come up, anything that could go wrong, reading anything that all of you write and anyone else writes, and trying to instill it into my brain so that I can use it. But I love to learn. I try my best to focus all the time to learn, but I'm here and I'm ready to answer some questions today.
Lucky us. Fabulous. And I just want to say to you, thank you for reading the content other people write, but also thank you for being the person to answer questions and share all of your knowledge now. And just thinking about Kickpoint and the work that you do and the clients that you work with, you've got a real big range of different clients that you sort of do work for. So I really I admire the way that gives you such a, when we talk about like T-shaped marketers, that gives you such a solid understanding of all parts of marketing, SEO, and then, like you say, you've got this deep dive on local SEO and actual real life problem solving. Which is what I hope we get to tap into today with people's questions. So just a reminder for everyone, write your questions into the chat, make them nice and clear and succinct if you can, because we are going to fit in as many as we can in this hour. So let's just crack on, shall we? Let's see, what have we got? Questions? Oh, okay, I bet we're going to have lots of Google Business Profile ones. I'd like to know if Google's cancellation of inactive accounts will also delete Google reviews from our GBP client accounts.
Most likely. I think that's a sucky answer, but I think it's a fact. Yeah. So if you're not using your Google Business Profile, if you've marked maybe it as temporarily closed, it's been closed a little too long, you're not active on it, if they do delete it, you do lose your reviews. So kind of the use it or lose it. But I guess if it's something that, I guess maybe check all your accounts, check who owns what and what account owns certain Google Business Profiles. Make sure, I guess the best course of action is probably just to make sure that you're keeping everything organized. So you have one account or a distinct account for a certain location or GBP if you're at an agency or in-house, just so that you don't have all these other accounts, and then I guess that kind of avoids duplicates and messy GBPs anyway. But yeah, I think you'll lose the reviews.
What I'm thinking also, Christopher, for clarification, what is it that's happening? I can't remember who was talking about it. I think it was probably Sherry and Ben, talking about how anyone that's left a review that's only left one, or it's from an inactive Google account, then they're going to basically delete those accounts. So if that's what you're referring to, then yes, they will be gone, because that's sort of the point, I think. I don't know if anyone's written anything about this. We should probably have a little look. If that's what you're referring to, then yeah, if you have got lots of reviews from people whose accounts are going to go to some sort of Google graveyard, then yes, you will lose those, I think. To be confirmed. Yeah. Cool. I hope that was helpful. That was a bit of a, it depends. What have we got next? Ooh, bit of a consumer behavior deep dive. Are you finding search habits changing? I know that Google has changed how they count searches and views, yet many clients are no longer getting the numbers that reflects in business.
I personally haven't seen too much change in, let's say, how many views or like traffic coming to a site. I haven't noticed anything difficult or changing unless you've been hit maybe by a core update or something, and that could have caused a lot of changes recently. There's been a lot, a lot of updates in like the last 6 months even. But I think I'm trying to think of like search habits in general. I mean, it's not just on Google anymore. I think the biggest thing is social media, people using that as a search tool, and kind of that younger generation using it. I wish I could put myself in that category. I have yet to try to use social media to search things. I've started looking at it, but I've seen that changing a lot. And, you always see an article come out over and over again about how TikTok is the new search engine and things like that. So maybe it's like making sure you're tracking your traffic, and especially from Google, and kind of seeing where the source is coming from. And is there a big change between Google organic traffic or social media traffic, and just kind of making sure you know what makes sense or what's happening for your business.
Just to add to that, I think it's quite a difficult time for marketers and business owners. You've got this change, Google Analytics 4, which a lot of people still aren't quite well. This is what I was reporting on and tracking before, but I don't know how to do that now. And then you've got the change with the Google Business Profile Insights API, which is changing metrics again. So I think rather than being quite sad, which is how I found myself feeling, maybe now is the time to actually benchmark what those KPIs are and what the activities are, the real world activities. So rather than thinking about how Google counts searches and views, think about phones ringing, think about emails, think about all of those actual things that we can measure using a mixture of insights and analytics and call tracking, and then start again with your sort of measurement protocol, because everything has changed. So maybe just take this as an opportunity to sit there and work out what the actions are that you want to measure, because they're important business critical things.
Yeah.
That was a lot of stuff. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was perfect. It makes sense. Focus on the end goal. What's going to drive business? Those numbers are the ones that really matter.
So. And some things aren't measurable. It's like you say, thinking about, like TikTok and other places that could be like driving traffic to your website, or could just be driving actions. So much isn't measurable, and so much data will be obfuscated by Google. We have to just work out, well, what are the things and which ones can we actually maybe credibly get some metrics for? Okay. All right. What have we got next? Steve asks, what are the benefits of building multiple website service pages dedicated to each local city we target, and what hierarchy structure is best practice?
From what I get from this question, it sounds like, let's say you have 3 locations, and then you offer the same services in each 3 locations. So you want to have a location page and then a service page for that location for each. That's what I'm getting from this question. I was going to say, it depends. Sorry. The thing is, I think making sure that if you're looking at your industry and your business, and I'd take a step back and review keyword research again, make sure to double check intent. Do I even need a service page for each location? You might not. We have a client where even a service area page, if someone's searching for a very specific service in that area, it's actually service area or location pages that are ranking, not service pages. So they didn't need to create those, and we found they haven't had to, and it's been performing well. So I think it's just making sure, looking up what are the results for your types of queries that you want, and does it make sense to do that? But then again, if you are going to do something like that, make sure that the content is incredibly helpful and unique and very specific to that location for that service, everything we've always been talking about. And I think the hierarchy structure, making sure it makes sense. I'd focus on like internal linking more than restructuring your website or anything like that for URLs. I wouldn't focus on that. That could cause redirect problems. That's a bit messy, but I think just think of what makes sense and go back to keyword research, go back to looking at how your customers look at your site and land on your site, how they search for things, before deciding that, oh no, I need a location page for plumbers in Brooklyn, when maybe you just need a general location page.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much. What have we got up next? How much do reviews play a role in the local maps pack? I have a client who has about 13, and the average of their competitors is 31 for the top 10 spots.
Reviews are a local ranking factor. Getting reviews. I think the fact that you've already looked up the top competitors and their average number of reviews, it's not going to be a be all end all. Like if I tell you right now that, oh, you get 31 reviews and you'll rank alongside them, there's a lot of other factors and a lot of other things that go into it. But it is something that you should strive for. If a lot of your competitors or a lot of other people in maps in your area all have a bunch more reviews, and even the quality of their reviews is better, they have a lot written, customers take that into consideration. Like think of even a hotel chain. It could have 5 stars, but it only has 2 reviews. To me, I'm like, that's questionable, right? So it's just kind of making sure that you're on the same level in terms of the quality and quantity of reviews. But it's not going to potentially make you rank just because you have the same amount, but I would push for it and try to get more.
Yeah, super important. What do we have next? Let's unpick this one. If keywords are ranking on the homepage, so say a homepage is ranking instead of a service page, when should you stop trying to fight Google and just optimize the homepage for that keyword?
How important is it, I guess, that the service page rank for that? What is the purpose of this service page? What is the intent behind that keyword? A lot of it could strictly be just optimizations for the home versus the service page. I know it's not really a great answer, because if you think about some local businesses, what they offer is almost in their business name too. So it's kind of, that's where the homepage tends to outrank. But I think as long as you try your best to optimize keywords and like your header tag, your title tag, to really differentiate between the homepage and service page, you're properly internally linking and guiding visitors to the right page. Another thing I'm thinking, even if you have your Google business profile? Are you linking to your homepage versus a service page? Maybe it's more better for a location page. I'm just trying to think of all the possible options for what your business is or what your keywords are. But I think ask yourself, if a customer landed on the homepage, is that going to give them the best experience possible? If not, I would keep trying to optimize to focus on the service page, or make sure that you have a clear path towards your services on your homepage and just really focus on, am I like targeting the same keywords and how can I differentiate that? And then just test and kind of play around with it. It's not gonna hurt too much, but don't fly off the wall when you're testing, but take little steps and check and monitor it. But it's kind of dependent on when you should just optimize the homepage or not. But as long as it makes sense, if someone were to land on both, can they convert? I think is also a important step.
I think I've seen that quite a lot for businesses where the homepage is performing really well for like their primary or their sort of head term. Yeah. And so, thinking rather than seeing, you're having a fight with Google and a battle with Google, it's more that Google is just seeing your homepage, which is often, your most authoritative, most linked to page. And I think you made an excellent point about the sort of proliferation of domains which are also keyword rich. They're also getting keyword rich anchor text to the homepage for most of the links. So it does sort of make sense that Google would be ranking the homepage. But rather than having a battle, it's like you said, just let it naturally rank. But if you've mapped out all your content and you know what type of hubs and what type of pages should be ranking for whatever you're trying to get them to have organic visibility for, it's not necessarily a battle. It's two bites of the cherry or two bites of the apple. Two bites of the apple. Two chances to get searches to your website. So you might see both pages ranking. I hope that was helpful, DJ Brown. What do we have next? Okay, is there a benefit of showing a commercial address over not showing one in regards to map ranking? For example, if the majority of competition is showing their address, does it benefit if you are able to show one, or does it not? Does it really matter on the local search grid and ranking keywords?
If you're able to show an address, meaning customers can visit you or you visit them during opening hours, if you actually can and you're following all of the guidelines that you can show your address, yes, it will help for local rankings or in map rankings. So I want to just keep it as simple as that. Like, I would show it if you can, and if you can't, that's where all the other roundabout ways of trying to rank in the local organic rankings best you can. But if all of your competitors are showing their address and they're ranking and you can, but you're not, the only one thing I'd be concerned about is showing your address and hoping like Google doesn't flag that as suspicious or something. So just making sure you have all of your information ready, all of your proof of your address, your like the CID, everything for your Google business profile, like everything you need to prove that you operate out of that address, have ready and like to go before you make that switch. So you're not scrambling.
I definitely agree, and just be aware that any changes to your Google business profile, especially stuff like hiding and unhiding address, can definitely trigger suspension. And it's like you say, just make sure that you've got all of that stuff ready to send off to Google to like appeal any suspensions, and be ready for your business to disappear. Not ideal from Google for a couple of weeks, which is not good, is it?
No. Unfortunate. No. And annoying.
Yeah. Unfortunate, annoying, etc. Cool. What do we have next? Ooh, what has happened in local SEO recently that has made you pause? And I thought it said, and consider changing your current career, but it doesn't. It says, consider changing your current methods.
I guess we can bring up all of the AI going on, and just, how to use it, and not just like in my own role. And if I'm thinking of like creating content, ad copy, anything that you can think of, and using AI. And so how can you use it appropriately and properly, and not to duplicate or just copy paste? Like, what are some really cool, neat ways that are helpful, that can help trigger ideas generation, outlines? Like, what we do is looking at like, oh, if I were to create something like this, what types of content would be included? What types of topics would we talk about? What would an outline look like? Or, just to kind of get an idea. And then, of course, looking at search and all that kind of stuff and blending the two together. But also, so not just how I would use it, but also how I would talk to clients, and then actually having to have things in guides implemented about using AI and using ChatGPT, when they're creating content for their own sites, because that's something that now we have to warn about, not against using it, but how to use it and to get the best results out of it. I think that's a big thing. I know, like the search generated SGE, I haven't got to play around or see it much myself or do much with it. It's more just me reading everyone else and seeing what everyone else is doing with it. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's something I've always focused on. I've always focused on doing things the right, proper way. I don't like to do hacky tactics ever. I'm very reluctant on that. But I think with all of these updates too, and algorithm updates, the helpful content update, all those sorts of things, and spam and reviews update, just making sure that you're always thinking about the customer first. And then obviously you do have to think about how search engines and keyword research, everything that is all still important, because you want to rank on a search engine. But it's at the end of the day, before you hit publish or before you send off, just still kind of coming back and reworking all of my guides for clients, all the ways I talk to clients, and just like, at the end of the day, is this going to help business? Yes or no? Is this going to help make a customer frustrated or happy or pleased? Like, yes or no, and then kind of figure it out. But I think it's starting to be gone with the way of how to rank and more how to get business, like,
that would be nice if we just having that focus and just bringing people back to that every time, which is, there isn't, necessarily sort of magic SEO pixie dust to sprinkle into stuff. It's like, yes, you need like that technical know-how, all the stuff that you just said about making sure your site is crawled and indexed, but also it's just like the marketing know-how, which is all of those parts of the puzzle, about saying the right things in the right way and keeping people happy. Cool. Let us see what is next. Wow, Abby, love a KPI question. Thank you. What KPIs do you use to measure local SEO performance, and how often do you check those KPIs?
These are all going to be dependent on the client and their goals, and what their KPIs are. So, but some kind of the main ones to focus on are, what are their conversions? So what do they consider as a conversion? I know in GA, everything's an event, but what are you really focusing on? Is it phone calls? Is it form fills? Is it getting so far into, instead of just filling out a book an appointment form, like, was that appointment actually booked, connecting different data sources, if at all possible, right? Like into GA4. I think at the end of the day, I want to really focus on, what are your goals, and what are the events that happen on your website that actually bring in business and result in business. So, you could look at traffic from your Google business profile, how many people click to call, or how many people land on your website from that, but then not just focusing on that, the traffic from Google business profile, is that traffic then actually converting with what you want? So I think just making sure everything maps with the local businesses end goals of, is this going to help me stay in business? And then those are those KPIs that we focus on.
Yep. Yeah, I was just going to say it's the sometimes the easiest piece is just pulling out those parts from Google Business Insights, isn't it? Which are like real actions that you wouldn't see when you go to analytics, but sort of not diving into the actual metrics on the platforms before you've had the conversation with the clients, which is what you've just been describing, which is just like, what do you need? What do you want? Because there's no point me telling you, oh, I've decreased your bounce rate. Not that that even exists anymore. From this to this, it's like it's not critical. It doesn't help. Work with the business to like really tease out what, how will we know that we're doing a good job? It's like that's something that I heard Dana say, which is just like, how do we know? How do you know we're doing a good job? It's like, what are all these things? And then from there, keep asking and how and how and how and how. And then you can work out which platforms you can use to actually make some of those measures.
Yeah.
I love that bit. Thank you. What have we got next? Lawrence has got an appliance repair client who is headquartered in one city but wants to rank in a city that is 20 miles away. Any tips on how to do it?
Many. Right? There's so many different things to try. So based on this question, I want to assume that you have the one physical headquartered location, but I'm reading it, appliance repairs, only service area. It's not like you actually have a shop or anything in this city that's 20 miles away. But yeah, I think this is where those service area pages come into play. And making sure, so yeah, I guess on your website, do you actually say that I do service in this area that's 20 miles away? And what do I do in this area that's 20 miles away? There's a bunch of different kind of ways to put that across, but I think the best way is to kind of say, hey, we're like an organization. These are all the different areas we serve. I know it can get a little dicey and overwhelming when you think of, what if I have 200 service areas? Take a step back, even look at keyword research, look at your goals, look at your data, what locations or service areas have been bringing in the most business, like just prioritize which ones you'll start with or which ones can be parent service areas. Like, I think it all depends on where you are in the globe. I think if it's like in Canada or in the US, if you have a large city, but all these suburbs, you can kind of maybe, you have to work with the data, you have to work with the business and kind of know exactly how you're going to organize that. But yeah, creating a service area page, talking about that location, where you are, being very specific. If there's a travel time added to a quote, pricing, anything like that, like have any information that, again, the end user would find helpful to book with you. And just make sure, because yeah, I guess if I were to see your business and I knew you were 20 miles away, but you do appliance repair, yeah, I'd want to make sure, do you actually do service in my area? So again, I keep coming back to a service area page. And then what's on that page, anything. I think if you're thinking of putting reviews on that page, how you ask for reviews, and hopefully if you have some reviews that do mention this area, or if you can try to ask questions in your review management system to be like, where were you located, or where were we today, or I don't know. It depends on how you can ask them if people are willing to give up that information. But sometimes people are willing to be like, I called this company out. I live in Edmonton, and they came out from Sherwood Park, or that's cities near me, and they, like I'd say that in a review, and then you'd want to maybe put that review content on the page specifically. You can dig through some of your reviews, right? So, but yeah, I think I answered it.
Basically, you've written that page for them. It's going to rank really well. That's done. Yeah, you've done the work. There we are. Thank you. Can you write all of our service pages for us, please, Elizabeth? Okay. What have we got next? Let's have a look. Will it hurt nationwide SEO?
How you're doing that maybe might affect if you all of a sudden have a nationwide brand and you start writing only one single local branch's keywords all over your homepage. Maybe don't do that. Not that I'd assume you would, but I know some people that have, so don't do that. But yeah, again, it's making sure somewhere's on the site that makes sense, the type of hierarchy that makes sense of how are you going to tell people where you provide your services. So again, like even making some kind of drop down of areas served or our locations, and having parent location pages about, let's say we serve all of the UK, and then maybe I'm going to say 3 for now. Like here's the 3 big areas. Not that that makes sense for anyone, but we'll pretend today. And then within those 3 big areas, here's all the different locations, maybe physical locations you have, and then they have individual pages for that. But it doesn't mean that any of your overarching kind of pages, like your homepage or about the company or anything like that, has to be localized. Leave that for the location pages or the area served pages, or your Google business profiles, and then make sure all your Google business profiles have a location page to link to that's very specific, so you're not hurting your overall brand of what you do.
Totally. One thing I could just popped into my head, and you mentioned this again earlier, which is future-proofing your business in terms of growth. So if you are serving a specific geographic area, then unless you are 100% sure that you're always going to serve that geographic area and never do anything else, then it's probably best not to include it in your business name and your domain name, because by doing that, you have basically localized your business. I think it would be very hard to grow and move from there. Say, for example, Brighton SEO. Now I have Brighton SEO San Diego. So Brighton SEO has got its own brand about it now, but it's also a geographic area, isn't it? So I guess it's just something to think about when you set up your business, choose your domains and, all of those types of things. So it is possible to sort of local SEO-ify up your business too much. Might restrict your growth. Okay, what do we have next? What's the right way to add local keywords to content?
Adding them where it makes sense, but that's very broad. Making sure that you have a specific, Google focuses on page by page basis, right? So I'm going to kind of take it back. Something I believe you talked about in your keyword research course was keyword mapping. So yeah, make sure, I don't know, I would start there. So you're not crossing local keywords or any keywords across different pages and trying to like cannibalize them. But also focusing on, if I wanted to rank for appliance repair in Edmonton, where I am, I would make sure that keyword, if that's what people are searching for, that's what makes the most sense, that has the search volume, that has the intent. I'd want it in my H1 header tag. I'd want it in my title tag. And you want it naturally filtered in throughout the content on the page. And then you don't want to be having a whole second page that targets appliance repair Edmonton either. So just making sure which keyword do I want to target on which page, making sure it's in the key kind of spots, the big H1 header tag, that title tag. But again, make sure it's readable for a real person. If they read it, it makes sense. It doesn't sound stuffed or spammy. But yeah, I think, and then looking at closely related keywords, if I look at appliance repair Edmonton, the page it's ranking for, it has it in its header title tag. But then when I look on its page, it has, our Edmonton appliance repairman's reviews. That's really spammy. Maybe that wasn't the best example, but, I'll have reviews, and I make sure I have reviews in some header tag in H2 or H3 somewheres on the page, right? Like, I guess it's just kind of mimicking to an extent what's ranking well for that area and that local keyword and trying to emulate that. but don't go overboard. Don't
But make it better. Make it better.
Do better.
So, yeah, that's the nice thing about when you get to your sort of competitor research piece is like, you know, I'm not copying this, but I understand that Google is ranking this for a reason, and it's probably something to do with intent rather than how many times they have said a word on the page. And so using that as your guide and then thinking, how am I going to answer these questions better? Or how am I going to make this easier or a better experience for my potential customer? So yeah, that. Thank you very, very much. I think that was a great summation of what you need to do to you know, make sure that you're using the right words in the right places without over optimizing your content. Okay, what do we have next? Yes, if there's someone has left a review and I can't see it, but they can show me a screenshot, what can I do?
That's changed a bit, hasn't it? About, yeah, how you can actually, previously, you could reach out to Google support and you could show, this is my business profile. There was a review that left, like it worked, I mean, a couple months ago when I did it, because the client, a person actually sent the client, hey, I left a review, but it's not showing.
Yeah.
The customer was upset their review wasn't showing in the business. That was wild. So I was like, you go. So everyone else do that. But yeah, so we had a screenshot proof that it was posted this time, this date, but we're not seeing it. And then they took kind of a manual review and ended up, it worked and it appeared. I don't know. I mean, lately now, Google's support hasn't been as helpful. And they're a lot slower. That's at least how I'm experiencing it right now. But I guess, yeah, have all the proof and try to reach out.
I think I'm still seeing that in the community, and I think what you've said in terms of, you know, you have to start with help. You have to like follow the help link, and then exactly like you said, you know, you have to provide the evidence. You know, this is this. Here's a screenshot. It is not showing. Blah 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 blah. And then if you don't have any joy, that's when you sort of, I think, you take your case ID to the community, and then hopefully someone there, like a product expert, will be able to help you with that. But I still think that's an ongoing, Joe, what you've just described, it seems to be an ongoing issue, and I can't remember what the actual answer is, but there's so much stuff going on with reviews at the moment, and things going missing in accounts. And so aside from doing what go and try and get support and make sure that you've got all the evidence, and you know, hopefully they'll be able to fix that for you.
But you're not alone.
But you're not alone. Just go into Google Business Profile, support community, use the search box to bring up what your problem is, and you'll probably find like 5, 10, 15 other threads in there that are people that are experiencing the same problem. So actually you might find, by going into especially the recommended answers for those problems, you might actually find the solution from one of the product experts in there. So yeah, definitely go in and have a little look in the community. What do we have next? Thank you, Louis, with the contact form for Google My Business. So that's there for you. Ursula asks, for ideal local SEO, would you recommend changing service pages to geographically targeted URLs? Probably yes for a new website, but what's the answer for an existing website? Is it worth changing URLs?
I like to go with the don't change a URL unless you absolutely have to. Again, your internal linking structure and the content on your page and everything else that goes with that is more important than what's in the URL. So even for a new website, because if, like, let's say you're creating a new website off a current, you're migrating, even then you're already changing enough on your website for Google to follow that, you know, redirecting all of those URLs to you're just giving more work for Google to have to follow and keep track. So then you could see a potential drop or things change. And if something wasn't implemented correctly, mistakes always happen, and never something to be ashamed of. But it just opens the opportunity for redirect errors or for Google to have to kind of recrawl and see more things. It would be something always maybe in the back of my mind if I've tried absolutely everything. But then if you've tried absolutely everything, adding a location to your URL is most likely not going to make an impact. So I think I'd look at your internal linking structure and your content and your topical authority for your service pages to kind of make sure that, am I obviously linking from location pages to all my services? Like, hey, here, I do this here, vice versa. I write content about the service that also has local intent based on it. Like, am I authority in this area for this topic? That sort of thing. I'd focus on all of those things before worrying about URLs.
100%. What do we have next? Can you believe it? It's 40 minutes in. Look at this. I am a solo immigration attorney who has been practicing law and serving clients for more than 21 years. I've been at my current office location for 13 years. Do I list 21 or 13 years when completing the years in business section of my Google business profile?
As I haven't had an experience with a client that had this kind of difference, I want to say I would do 13 because that's how long you've been at that physical location that you're opening a business profile for. But then I'm trying to think of, how will Google know the exact difference? Does that make sense? Like, I think, yeah. And if everywhere on your site, you're focusing and you say and you state on all of your citations on your website and social media, like wherever you're on, you're saying 21 plus years, then you could probably say 21 plus years. But that years in business section, either one you put, it's not going to give you a tank in rankings because you only have 13 versus 21, if that matters. But as long as you say everywhere else you've been in business for 21 years, I don't see why you can't put 21 years. Someone correct me if you have an experience where that went bad, but that's what I'm thinking.
No. Lovely. 21 years. Yes, please. How do you use the term remodeling service near me on a website page without looking forced for SEO purposes?
The near me, fun. Yes, people clearly do still search these terms, right? When I am based on the clients we've worked with and like what we've been looking at and some recent ones, actually, I don't actually ever see anywhere on content that ranks that they actually say near me anywhere, even on the page, unless it was naturally like if you're looking for someone close by or in your neighborhood here, like roundabout ways of explaining that. Feel free to put that type of content on a location page or some kind of landing page. But I think as long as you're targeting, because if someone's near me and let's say you're going to pick X location area, as long as that remodeling service page is targeted for that X location, and then maybe you even have added content like a custom Google map where it's like, here's all the service areas, like here we service all of these area, the suburbs or neighborhoods within this area. Like, just try to make it as obvious as possible that I'm in this area and I do a remodeling service, because then if someone did search near me, it's going to depend on where they are when they're searching it. It has nothing to do with you writing on your page, remodeling service near me. You're not going to rank. It's a localized intent. So if I was 200 miles away, I will not see your page if you're not near me, actually. So I wouldn't worry too much on focusing and targeting for near me queries. Just focus on the local ranking for the area. And then if someone was actually in that area when they use the near me search term, you have a better chance of appearing.
Totally brilliant. Thank you very much. As an agency, what is your process for managing hundreds of Google business profiles? Is it dangerous to have one Google account added as an owner to many GBPs?
I do not actually manage hundreds of GBPs myself, but if you do have a single good Google account, so for at least if you're thinking about, okay, I manage all of these clients, make sure that that Google account isn't taking part in any malicious activity. You're not spam fighting using that Google account. Use a separate Google account for the one you manage Google business profiles for. Don't have everyone have access or a login to that. I guess I just want to say that having it, it's going to depend on how you manage things internally. I don't necessarily want to say having a single Google account manage hundreds is a bad thing. You just have to make sure you have really good, strong control over that account, who has access to it, who can log in, and that you're not doing anything against Google's guidelines or spam fighting or anything from that Google account specifically.
Do you use the agency dashboard, like the organization?
We do, I believe. You know, when you look at it forever and you're like, I just log in and do my thing. But there is that.
Yeah, so there is a dash, and you'll know if you've got it because when you log in, it will say that thingy on it, which I will log in a minute and have a look and work out what it says. But yeah, there is, I guess that's a better way. I mean, this is me, you know, I'm not like a big agency. I'm just a little person sat here with my however many things. So yeah, choosing an agency account, I think as long as you're not, you know, it's a better way to demarcate. I'm managing these. I'm not using my own personal then Gmail account, which is where I do community stuff and where I might be a Google guide, or where I've got my own YouTube channel. That could mean that if I did something naughty on YouTube, it's going to affect the accounts that I manage. So yeah, have a little look at that. We should put the link in the chat to the dashboard when I manage to find it, or when Elizabeth manages to find it. But yeah, that could be a good thing to look at then, Elisa, maybe. Cool. What do we have next? In the real estate world, local SEO seems to be a challenge to rank against the large sites only listing properties versus others that work to improve and create content with depth. Is it a long game? Do you work with any real estate? Okay. I don't know what that was. Sorry.
I enjoyed it. It is a long game, but I think almost with any SEO is a long game. When you look at these big, large sites, I think this isn't always like accessible, what I'm about to say, but having a website, again, that emulates that structure and does it better. But again, not everyone can create an entire new website, can have the same features, can build a proper hierarchy, can like outline a blueprint that makes sense to have individual listings, like the proper internal linking structure, everything like that. It is doable at some point in time. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that if that's what you need to rank for, you need to rank individual listings along with your brand, kind of focus those two marketing channels. But I think making sure your website is built and usable and crawlable and it's structured correctly and in the best way possible to rank. There's always an opportunity for that. And I know that in real estate, sometimes you're a smaller team under a bigger umbrella. You have a separate subdomain, certain things like that. So it isn't always easy, but I think unfortunately it's the game you have to play when you're in that industry, because based on intent and what ranks, if you need to be there, you need to build your site up to that level. And then I think prioritizing is going to be your best friend when it comes to the type of content, the type of community page or property page or listing page, or the EEAT that you're trying to create for each one of your real estate agents or brokerage or anything like that. And content, local guides, local housing blog, like anything that's helps to prove that you're an authority in that topic as well. Making sure you're listed elsewhere, you're speaking elsewhere, you're known in your industry on other websites and everything like that. But I think it is a long game, and it does take a lot of work. I think the website and how it's structured is a really big thing based on at least my experience with what we're doing, but it's not easy, and it's not easy.
Brilliant, thank you. What do we have? Amy, I have an independent insurance agent client that has a storefront in his small town and also services clients as a service area business in their home or business in the DFW area, an hour south of his storefront. Can he have a separate SAB GMB in the DF? I love this. Can he have a separate SAB GMB in the DFW area where he services clients at their location while maintaining his current GBP for his storefront that serves local clients?
No. Unless you have a second location that you're hiding your address and you can prove you're doing business out of it, but it doesn't sound like it. So no.
Even then, you still only have one business, so you can't use an employee's address somewhere else. And then, so
exactly,
if it's one business, no.
Yeah, you have one business and you're serving an hour south of the DFW area. That's where you have to do all of those fun, other magical, how to rank outside my area stuff. But yeah, no, don't create a second GBP.
What you can do, Amy, is follow all of Elizabeth's advice for building out a really good geographic service page for that area, so you can rank organically with that page. That's your option. So you might not get into the map pack, but you can rank in the organic results for that. And don't be naughty, because being naughty could affect your other listings as well. So, okay, what do we have next? What is the best way to fix a suspension? The content is just furniture.
I'm not quite sure what that last sentence means, but if we're going, fix a suspension, gather all of your info first. That's just, I'm always going to say, there's that new, has it rolled out everywhere?
It's just in the EU, whatever that is, but I think it's the UK as well. I think that is, so there's this new thingy that you will tell us about now.
Yeah, there's a new way to appeal a suspended listing, or not appeal.
To reinstate, yeah.
Thank you. Oh man, okay, it's early for me. It's not even early, but yeah.
Just use acronyms. That's all we basically.
So, but in general, I think before, I think for then it's like you reach out, you actually should be given a somewhat reason of why you were suspended in that case. And then you have to, you'll only have 60 minutes, I believe, then to give all the information, all the proof. So I think, but with any suspended listing, let's say, make sure you take a look at why you think you were suspended, whether it's told or not. Go pull up the Google's guidelines for representing your business online. I forget what it's called, but look up Google's guidelines, make sure and go through it. Again, I mean, it's always a good thing to keep going through that anyway. What is it that got you suspended? And it might not actually be anything. You might have just changed an address or did something and they just were being jerks and felt like suspending you. That happens. It's happened to me. It happens. In that case, get everything together, like a proof of you at that location, like a utility bill, your business license, like anything that says your business name as shown on Google and the address of where you're doing business. Have as much proof as possible. Any screenshots or timing of when it was suspended, show that, explain how you're not not breaking any of the guidelines, if that's the case. And if it is, say, I fixed this and actually fix the problem first, and then reach out to support. I've had it where it's like there is, the new form system process. There is a Bright Local article on that, I believe, that it's going to explain it way better than I am right now.
Yeah, there's an article, and there is also the webinar that we did with Sherry and Ben, which is, it was just, they went through the thing because Sherry had actually done one that, like, maybe one of the first ones.
So yeah, we can even get a link to that in the chat. Go there. It'll actually be step by step, but fix the problem if there's a problem and gather every bit of proof you possibly can. I think the more the merrier. Don't slack on that. Totally. And then reach out, give your proof.
Good luck, Thomas. Right. Chris asks, how do you see local search changing with SGE?
I haven't had enough experience to kind of see this myself. I think, again, getting to know it, getting to see what comes up for what your business is, I think prioritize, focus there, use it, see what's happening. And I think just make sure, again, coming back to providing all the most helpful content you possibly can that's going to answer your customers' queries. Just making sure you have proper local citations, making sure you have a Google business profile that's filled out to the fullest extent possible and that helps provide useful information. Adding schema to your site. Don't forget that. I think it's just again, making sure everything's optimized as possible and then playing around with search generative experience. What comes up, where are there opportunities, or where am I losing, or what's coming up, or is there an ad in there that I need to be in, or I haven't had.
Yeah, we'll find out soon, won't we? Really, it's I think, right, okay, it is nearly an hour now, so we got time for one more. So let's look at Steve. How long does it usually take for Google to act upon all of the changes made to a Google business profile to give me better ranking locally?
Depends on what you're changing.
If it was your category and you changed that and you didn't get suspended because all sorts of things can trigger suspensions, then it could be within a couple of minutes.
Yeah. And then if it's filling out all the information, posting images, that doesn't, not that that's going to rank anything, but I'm trying to think, it could be really quick. But if it's anything outside of your Google business profile to get your GBP to rank, it could be longer, days, weeks.
So there are some super duper quick wins, just in terms of these little signals, one of which is, stuffing keywords in your name. Don't do it, but I'm just saying that don't do it. But there are some things that will just, when it comes to ranking, will just, it's not a sustainable approach, but there are things that can change that quite quickly. So I cannot believe the number of questions that were coming in and all of I can believe it because it's all good stuff, but it's so nice to see and hear everyone with all of their questions coming in. And then there's about a gazillion more, but sadly, we don't have time for all of those. So a super duper big thank you to you, Liz, for being here today and sharing your brain with us.
I liked it. I was happy. And it's always good to see you. So.
We should just do this every evening. It would be lovely. Thank you very, very much. Now, here are some Liz details. So you're on the Twitter or whatever it's called this week. So people can find you there. So I need to say thank you to you. So thank you very, very much. But I also want to say thank you to all of our listeners and all of our watchers and all of our business owners and marketers and askers of questions, because you were brilliant and you just had some great puzzles to solve. So thank you very much for all of your questions. Remember that the replay of this is going to be live on the YouTube channel very soon. So you will be able to catch up with that. And just a reminder that if you want to learn more about local SEO, if you want to carry on with the conversation, you can do that in the local pack. But do not forget that so many questions can be answered by doing any of the free courses on the Bright Local Academy. So definitely check that out. And you can learn lots of different things. And sign up to the newsletter, because that's when we send out the weekly emails that let you know new things that have happened in the local search space, local SEO news, and invitations to all of the upcoming webinars with our lovely, lovely guests like Elizabeth. So thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye.